What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about safe spaces because, well, yeah, those are a thing. You probably know about those. They've been in the news for the last few years. They've been kind of emerging out of nowhere, it seems like. I'm only 19. I never really heard about those until like 2015, 2016. They kind of started popping up, and then, well, now they're getting pretty prevalent, it seems like, especially on university and college campuses here in Western society. Well, if you don't know what they are, safe spaces, they're not like a physical thing, okay? We've had those for a long time. I mean, I can go to Taco Bell without getting hit by a car, most likely. I can go to a GameStop without having a bear maul me, most likely. It's more of like a mental protective barrier. It's used to shield people who have a common point of view. It's used basically to hold away ideas that they deem unacceptable or not alike their own. We live in the era of offendedness, man. Everything is scary, everything is offensive. It's just the way it is. You can get on social media and cry about it. So you gotta keep in mind though that most cases, this is grown adults that face these safe spaces. They deem these as necessary. These are becoming commonplace. These are staples on college campuses now. One notable example of a safe space, they're not representative, of course, of all safe spaces, but one that was notable was one at Brown University, which was equipped with cookies, coloring books, bubbles, Play-Doh, pillows, blankets, a video of puppies, and some music. To me, that sounds more like recess in kindergarten than, you know, like a normalized area in a university, but yes, this was a legitimate thing. I know you probably don't believe me. Trust me, I did not believe it when I first found out about it, but I mean, university students, they're adults after all. These people are good enough to make it into these universities, but when it comes down to have all their intelligence tested in these debates or by having new information that will challenge their beliefs brought to them, they have to retreat to these safe spaces. They're afraid to think analytically. They're afraid to think outside the box. They're not even afraid to they're afraid to just think. You know what I'm saying? They're afraid to just like think like a normal, rational human being and just accept that other people might be different and think differently than them. Anyway, we're gonna take a look here at a Fox and Friends video, which was the only video I could find surrounding this topic, which contains some content from Anthony Croneman, who was a former Yale Law School dean. He reacts to the new op-ed from the Wesleyan University president, who insisted that these safe spaces promote intellectual diversity among our college students here in Western society. Go ahead and take a look at this one, folks.
So safe spaces, they say, give people a chance to get confidence in themselves and their beliefs without being attacked. What could possibly be wrong with that?
Well, there's nothing wrong with it if you mean physical safety. Of course, students on a college campus ought to be physically safe. The problem is that idea has been extended to emotional threats and harms, and that really threatens the very heart of the educational enterprise. The minute you say that students should be insulated from any words or challenges that upset them, cause them to feel less worthy in their own eyes, you shut the conversation down and you make it impossible for all the students to engage in the collective pursuit of the truth. And that's what's happening on our campuses today.
So this is supposed to help them build their confidence in themselves and whatnot, while at the same time protecting them from feeling emotional threats and harms, which in this case might be someone challenging their beliefs or whatever it is that they think. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've had plenty of political discussions back in high school in class, and while I don't conform with identity politics, I take issues one at a time, I was often either on one side or the other, depending on whatever it was that we were talking about in class, which was a lot more rare because here in the United States, at least, most people are either conservative or liberal, and that's it. They just argue depending on whatever identity that they go with. Well, during these discussions, I mean, I've had disagreements with people. That's a natural thing. I don't know if you understand this yet or not. Most of you have been alive for more than like 3 months that are watching this video. You will disagree with people in real life, especially in politics. You will disagree with people. That is a natural thing. Now, unlike these people who need safe spaces, when I would disagree with these people, I could accept it, and that was fine. And these people that I would disagree with, they could accept it as well. It was okay to us because, once again, we didn't have a problem with this. Like, we were well-adjusted human beings. We could accept the fact that we could disagree. We had different beliefs, that was fine. But we both benefited from the conversation because we as 2 or 3 or however many people at least discussed the issue. We gained perspective of maybe what other people were thinking. We maybe learned some new information from one another. We didn't just have one little echo chamber inside of our head just talking to itself all the time. Oh yeah, this is what I think. Oh yeah, this is what I think. Our ideas were tested a little bit. We had to actually talk to somebody else. We had to actually combat our issues with one another. I never felt an emotional threat or harm. I never had to find a safe space, regardless of the issue. It's incredible. We were maybe 14, 15, 16, whatever. The people in hand in this, they're in their early 20s. They're my age, 19. You know, they're in college. They're more developed, but apparently they can't handle a simple discussion of their thoughts and beliefs of one another without it becoming such a big problem that they feel emotionally threatened by one another and their confidence just deteriorates. I'm gonna keep it a stack solid with you really quickly here, and, you know, feel free to get offended by everything that I'm saying if you're watching this and you're such a bitch that, you know, you can get offended by a YouTube video, because then I'll at least know that I'm challenging somebody's thoughts and their, you know, mental process. But if you're so afraid of having your thoughts challenged and having your beliefs challenged and all of these things that you think challenged by somebody else, maybe you're just not as intellectually sound as you think that you are.
Unfortunately, it seems like the students are insulated from a diversity of political differences. It seems like everybody's reading out of the same hymnal, doesn't it?
I think that the problem is this: the identity politics, which is such a scourge in our society at large, has really infected our campuses in a bad way. So students come into their class discussions thinking of themselves principally as members of a particular group, right, and not so much as individuals trying to make up their minds for themselves. And that's true regardless of the political views with which they start. College should be the time in their lives when they have a chance to when they're really required to put all of their beliefs out in the open, where they can subject them to scrutiny and tough testing. And the more they identify as a member of this group or that party or this faction, the less likely that is to happen.
So why should a conversation ever have to be shut down because someone has their feelings hurt? I mean, if that is the case, then that person needs to leave the table. I mean, excluding points of view from the conversation simply because you refuse to even consider them is exactly how you create an echo chamber, and I think that people like this know that, and that's why they do it, because they're obviously afraid of other thoughts. But that's what these safe spaces have essentially become. They are just echo chambers for people who apparently don't have the confidence to defend their points of views as human adults, and they protect and insulate themselves from the real world. I mean, society is not an echo chamber. People aren't always going to agree with you. You are going to have people challenge your beliefs wherever you go. I mean, whenever you say something, regardless, you can have a Facebook with like 40 friends, and it can be just your family and some personal friends. You post something political on there, you might have somebody you know post something on their back, and it might not be something you like. It's going to happen. People are going to challenge your beliefs regardless. It's gonna happen. But how is it good to apparently build up their confidence on the false notion that protecting them in this manner is acceptable? You know, once they leave this campus and reality is out there in front of them, what are they gonna do? They're not gonna have a safe space to go to. They're gonna have no idea how to challenge anything head on. You're setting people up for failure at that rate. Like, don't build false confidence up under them because they get their feelings hurt by ideas. Build true confidence up in them by making them beat ideas that they don't like. If they really think that the ideas that they want to be sheltered from are so wrong, they should debate them head on. Like, they should face that problem head on. Echo chambers don't actually take problems away anyway, they just deafen you to these problems. Like, the supposed problem still exists outside of it, and the people who believe it just laugh at you, and they just morally justify to themselves believing that problem or whatever that you deem it to be, and it hurts your cause even more, regardless of what you believe and what they believe. Like, if you just shut them out of the conversation, they're just gonna be like, oh, well, they shut me out of the conversation. I must have won the argument. Therefore, my point is more correct than theirs, and that's just how it's always gonna be. That's how people justify these kinds of things, and you can see clear examples of that in society. And here's another thing that I don't get about these safe spaces entirely. If it's a safe space, is it a safe space for everybody to talk? Can the person that you don't want to talk come in and freely express themselves? I mean, most of these safe spaces say that anyone regardless can come and freely express themselves. If that's the case, then what's the point of having the safe space if the person that you wanted to block out can come in and freely express whatever and just do exactly what they were doing outside of that space? At that point, you've just essentially moved rooms and slapped a label on it and made yourself a laughingstock. Like, what would you do if the people you don't like go and create their own little group exclusive safe space? What would you do in that instance? I mean, it would be just as stupid and restrictive, but you probably wouldn't like that all too much. I mean, these safe spaces seem to contradict themselves more than anything. They're supposed to promote free expression, but they're essentially just echo chambers for a certain crowd of people who just get offended by anything and everything they don't agree with. If you don't agree with them, don't come in. They're the same people in college as adults, but they want to be treated like they're children. They don't want their ideals tested. They don't want to hear other people's beliefs if they're not like them. It's the ultimate contradiction. Essentially, I'd say a safe space is like a paradox. How can it promote intellectual diversity if only one set of ideas can be promoted in the echo chamber? I mean, diversity is not based on one thing. For diversity to happen, you need several things. Usually, the more the better. If you want intellectual diversity, you need people with all types of political opinions to debate and become more knowledgeable and to study and to do well, not to retreat from having to face one another like adults and to challenge each other's thoughts. The real world is full of challenges. Life is a challenge. It's not a let me hide in a safe space and tell everyone the same thing that they feel. There's no such thing as intellectual diversity where everyone has the same mindset. I mean, if everyone in America thought that I was God, they'd be correct. That's what the safe space friends told me. Everyone there thinks alike. See how absurd that sounds? That's not intellectual diversity. You could probably ask a dog this question and it would tell you that it's stupid. I mean, if you feel like you need a safe space when someone challenges you with new ideas, please grow up and join the rest of the world. You may have been sheltered, but trust me, this mindset, it's not normal, and it's one that will forever hold you back from your true potential as a person, and everyone is going to think less of you for having it, except for the people just like you who also have it. I mean, it's up to you, and really only you, to break out of that mold and to better yourself, but make yourself better. Don't hide from other people's beliefs. Don't hide from challenges. Take them head on. Don't be afraid of things. Don't be afraid of the real world. Take it on. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel. Make sure to follow me over on Twitter @SubTOptimus. I also post memes, thoughts, and updates over there. Surefire way to get notifications of all my newest content. Join the Discord down below. Lots of great things down there as well. Thank you to my channel members. Your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, hiding in a safe space, and signing out.